Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Justin Perkins, and this is Talk Junkie. Today we're going to look at a topic I've kind of touched on before. If you've been around the YouTube channel for a while, back before these were really podcasts, when they were all visual, they were all video, I did a video over tribalism. And we're kind of going to look at tribalism today, but more based on where we're at right now. Today's March 20-something, I don't know, maybe 21st, somewhere around that. It's a Sunday, 2020, amidst the coronavirus and all those things. So we're kind of looking at it from that perspective, and maybe you can go back and watch the original one. It kind of goes, it talks about different things in this, and I'll really talk about. For anybody that's not been able to subscribe to the YouTube channel, somebody subscribed last night. It was somebody I know. They sent me a message today. And if they are listening, like say hello to Brian. I can say his last name, Brian Hall, or Bob, as I affectionately know him. He used to play drums. And if you go back and listen to the show about memories or any of the music, anything talking about, you hear me talking about Bruce, Bob, Will, and Eric, that's the Bob, Brian Hall. But some people have told me had trouble that won't let them subscribe on YouTube. It's not showing their comments. It's not allowing them to, sometimes it's not allowing them to share the video. It won't go to the link. I don't know. I've sent them email after email. They told me maybe people weren't listening, and that was the issue. I don't know. Touche, YouTube. Touche. But having said that, let's take a little look at tribalism. It's a theme or a thread that pops up a lot of times in a lot of discussions I have. I believe that it's one of the lesser qualities at times of humans, but it's also probably one of the qualities that allowed us to thrive and get to this point in life that we're at. In a world that was less connected before the internet and cell phones and podcasts and global satellites and the reach that the internet has given us, tribalism was more actually of an issue on the large scale, probably globally, than it is now. And it seemed like it recessed a little bit. Now, that's not to say that, there was a point in time where tribalism, as it regards to United States tribalism and, say, Chinese tribalism, didn't matter because, we had no way of having any access to each other, I'm talking in the infancy of the United States, because I don't think a lot of people understand, in relation to the rest of the world, how big of an age difference there is. We are literally toddlers compared to most other countries in the world. Regardless of their name, most other countries have been in existence far longer than us. Now, obviously, before the land was taken away, Native Americans existed here, long before us. But the United States, is the way it was constructed after that, is very new to the game. So, even though we're new to the game, we're often far ahead in some practices, way behind in some practices. We were far ahead of some countries as it went with slavery and racism, but we were also behind some countries in regards to those. We've been well behind some countries when it comes to acceptance of certain people. That's just, it doesn't seem to be our strong point as a country, but as a people collectively, it does seem to do pretty good. That tribalism, when threatened, much like September 11th, often unifies us. It makes the tribe become one tribe, a unified large tribe. That tribe is splintered off into various things. You kind of look at the world like a 80s teen movie in high school. Or better yet, SLC punk. You have the punks, the mods, the posers, the nerds, the rich kids, the preps, the rednecks, the skinheads. You have all these various groups, and children often associate with just their group. I was guilty of it to some degree. I like to kind of float amidst the tribes, but I never particularly liked the preps. The rednecks I could intermingle with from time to time, as long as we weren't talking political or social issues, as long as it was just, the fact we were brought up in the same place. I like the freaks, I guess that's what you would call me, that mix somewhere between goth and a skater. I don't know what exactly you called us. I don't really care. I never was big on that tribal existence. I did, however, feel more comfortable with my tribe, obviously. I felt better with like-minded people around me. It was only much later on that I realized that a lot of people are more poser than anything, and it's not really that they're like-minded to you. It's just that's the uniform they've decided to wear. The belief structure may not be the same, and that's kind of what happens with us politically in this country. We are at a point in history that we're very divided politically. Now, I wouldn't say that we're more divided now than they were divided during the Civil War, obviously. And I wouldn't say that we're more divided now than they were during the Vietnam War. And I won't say that we're more divided now than they were during the rising of the drug culture and things of that nature in the 60s. It's more public. Now, I believe that people collectively are more on the same page right now than they've ever been. They're fed up, they're tired of things. I think political parties and media and things of that nature are just clinging on to the control that they have, trying to create the world that they want instead of the world that people are kind of demanding. That's something that I've probably said a million times. I'd like to say it a million more. It's something that I'll never stop saying. It was something that the people I admired in 96 were saying, and 94, when I was younger, and are still saying, and we're still saying all the way up until President Trump was elected. And I lost a lot of respect for a lot of people when they changed their tune on this, but far before Trump was ever elected, far before Trump made it part of the nomenclature, far before Trump ever echoed the words over and over and over again, far before that, I knew in my heart, beyond a shadow of a doubt, and still do, that the news is fake. It's totally and completely fake. It's not news. It's opinion. It's gossip. It's being influenced by big business and by politicians. It's not real. And because Trump said it, it's like it devalued it somehow. I don't care if you love him or hate him. I don't care if he's Chester Cheeto to you or he's the second freaking coming. Makes no difference to me. You should not disregard a factual statement just because somebody you don't like made it. If that were the case, I'd have to disregard a lot of things because a lot of people I don't like say a lot of things that I agree with. But that's a part of being open-minded. That's a part of facts being more important than being part of a tribe. But that's not the way it works. See, that tribalism once swung the other way. It was a united tribalism. That news was good. We trusted Dan Rather. We trusted these people that come in our home. And then the 24-hour news cycle and all these things come in, change news as we know it, and people continued to live under that. People on the fringe, what would have been considered real liberals, which I would have considered myself in the 90s, not what they have now. What they have now is so far left, they're making out with the far right. But when it was real liberalism, and look up the definition. It's not my day to educate you on that. We got other things to talk about. Read what a liberal really is and see if you can find one on either party right now. And if you can, more power to you. But back then it was well known that, media's owned news stations and news organizations, ABC, NBC, CBS, the big three, were owned by companies, GE, whatever the company may be, Viacom, whatever. They were impacted, influenced, and controlled by the best interest of those companies. And those companies controlled political interest. And those political interests wanted the news to sing their song and sing their praises and tout them as the champions they are. And I don't think that was believed among the masses. I don't think it was known among the masses. But I think it was spoken of in fringe groups and fringe society. And then you had bands like Rage Against the Machine, who it was very much a part of what they said and what they expressed. Fast forward to President Trump says it, and a bunch of people who would have never believed it if you held a gun to their head, all of a sudden believe it now. And a bunch of people who should have been smart enough to believe it wouldn't believe it now if you held a gun to their head. It's a travesty. The truth has been presented to people, and it's ignored or embraced for the wrong reasons on both sides because of tribalism. You take the coronavirus. Now, when President Trump said it was nothing to really worry about, I think a lot of information we were getting, and you got to understand how information is disseminated to us. It's not always the most reliable channels. But looking at the scientific data that was out there would lead you to question that it was nothing to worry about. But I think if as a government as a whole, both parties, regardless of who they are much worried about the bottom line and the numbers and economy and things of that nature, depending on what their plan is for the week, it's important to not cause panic. But once he said that, to a certain group of people, no matter what science would ever say, it would never be an issue. And this is not to pick on one party. I want to pick on both. That's to say, as long as he believed that, a certain sector of people, not because the proof was there, not because the science held it, not because it was the most likely scenario, but because their tribe had spoken, that's what they would believe. Vice versa, when the media blew things completely out of proportion and went ridiculously wild, giving such inaccurate information, dangerous information that benefited no one and hurt everyone. Some people have believed that to this point and won't stop. Not because it was factually correct, not because it can be substantiated with numbers, not because it was the best information out there, but because their tribe had spoken. And proof be damned, the important thing is to follow the tribe. Now, I live in the state of Kentucky, and I believe that the governor in the state of Kentucky is doing the best he can do. And I believe that because of the way the former governor acted, he's going above and beyond to try not to be associated with such a douchebag. Having said that, I believe if we went back and started looking at some of the things he's trying to do behind the scenes right now, a lot of things are going to get pushed through that we're not going to like. And this word keeps getting bounced around the internet, martial law. I'm not fear-mongering. Whether it comes or not, it comes. Martial law will work in some areas. It won't work in others, and I think they know that. Texas probably ain't going under martial law. A lot of parts of Kentucky probably wouldn't work well under martial law. Some people have an adverse reaction to overreaching government control. I think the way their quarantine methods are presented will be very important to that, because that's a tribalism issue as well. But when Governor Brezier speaks, even though politically I don't agree with him, I don't agree with any politician, I know that Governor Brezier has an agenda. I know he has palms to grease and favors to do, and I know that a lot of the things he wants to do are not in my best interest or in the best interest of most people. They're in the best interest of his constituents and the people who back him financially, those constituents, not the voters. It's a business, and it's a business deal, and he's here to do business. Just like the governor before him. He's not as stupid and doesn't say as stupid of things. And he'll go a different direction because he has a different tribe of people paying his way. But amidst all this, even when he does a good job, you have a group of people praising him as the second coming when he's doing a wonderful job. And you have a group of people that are just gutting him because he's not his predecessor. Because he's a different party. That's tribalism. You have people who can't let it go that Matt Bevin's gone. I mean, they still need to harp about Matt Bevin even though he's gone. I've often wondered the depths of this tribalism, the fury in which these people align themselves with these sides. They do it as though they believe with no doubt, with no hesitation, that side is better in any way than the other side. Some people believe it's far superior. Yet neither side has ever made progress to a point that it was so undeniably good that no one could refute it. You have two sides of the same coin. You have two mouths spitting opposing views, but both ending up at the same position constantly. Isn't that kind of confusing? Doesn't that beg to question what's actually going on? No matter how many Democrats you elect, they don't fulfill their promises, even when they've got a majority House and Senate. And that generally happens, especially if a president gets 8 years. He'll have 4 years with his party majority and 4 years with the other party majority. Same thing with the Republicans. Here they are to save the world, ordained by God, but what are they doing? Nothing, really. Nothing any different than what the Democrats have done. There's no real examples of one side doing the almighty good and one side doing the all bad. They both just seem to be doing bad all the time. But people are willing to die on that hill. They're willing to fight that to their last breath, that their party, their tribe, their belief structure is so much better than yours until proof is needed. And then, well, what's proof? You know, it's not like faith. Faith doesn't need to be founded. It doesn't need to have anything there. They have faith in their tribe. They don't have proof in their tribe. Proof in the tribe. That would satisfy me. Don't get me wrong, it spills far outside of politics, and it's broken down. There's the two big tribes in America. There's the Republican tribe and there's the Democrat tribe. And there's the poor tribes and the rich tribes, and there's the middle class tribes and the lower middle class tribes, and there's the Democrat tribe, the liberal tribe, the far left liberal tribe, the far right conservative, the conservative and the Republican tribe. It breaks down. There's the religious tribe and the non-religious tribe. And even in that, there's the Catholic tribe, and there's the Jewish tribe, and there's the Muslim tribe, and a group of people who all have the same belief structure in a lot of ways. You understand that this is one thing. If you're a religious person and you believe in God and you believe in Yahweh or Jehovah or whatever you want to call him, you need to be educated. And you need to understand it's something that when we would read the Bible when I was younger, and something that when I would study religious things when I was younger, I was always surprised to find, but it was always really drove home to me that it was important. And I understand everybody doesn't get that same religious teaching, but it was taught to me that this is very important, that the Jewish God, Yahweh, if that's what you need to call him, and the Christian God, Jehovah, many call him. Because you got to understand, there's translations from language to language where words and phrases don't carry well over thousands of years. So names and things but we know through historical, one of the best history books in the world is the Bible. We know through historical information that Jehovah, Yahweh, God Himself, those are the same person, from the same belief structure, from the same system. The ugly truth that people just want to hide and not look at and don't understand is that in that same system, we have the same proof, the same understanding, the rest of the world, the same belief that Allah, the Muslim or Islamic God, is the same God. That was never questioned until our tribalism got so great in our separation as a world, when everything went from being concentrated in the Middle East to being spread out over the world. That's when that knowledge got lost. But how modern people don't know that, how the lack of knowledge, religion is seemingly the most important part of daily life for so many people, but that tidbit of knowledge is not understood or is chosen to be ignored. I don't understand. And then all three religions believe in and worship God. Two religions believe in Jesus, the Islamic faith and Christianity, obviously. Obviously in Christianity, He is the Savior. In the Islamic faith, He is a prophet. He is just a lesser prophet than Muhammad. Now, Jewish religion does not believe that Jesus existed, that He was born, that he was the Son of God. I guess they are under the impression that still has not happened. Now, I'd have to double check my information, but if I'm not mistaken, John the Baptist, who is not, it was a human, he had no magical or any religious power or authority like Christ did, but John the Baptist was also recognized by all three. So they share so many common threads. The difference is in the book, obviously. The Jewish using the Old Testament without the New Testament. Christianity using the book that Constantine canonized of the Old Testament and the New Testament and the Gospels and things of that nature. Just a separation to take out some of the Coptic text and take them away was the difference in that and what a lot of early Christians read. And then the Quran, which my understanding is somewhat a collection of various different things, but I think mostly Muhammad. I don't know what impact the Old Testament has on the Quran. That is something I need to educate myself on. But this one tribe of people, this one group of people believing in the same God has become very tribalized. The most tribalized thing in the world. In our country, the issue is political tribalism, Republican and Democrat, but globally it's religious tribalism. It's a worry that your faith has to be better than someone else's instead of a unified belief and appreciation and love for God. That division doesn't really exist as much in the U.S., especially politically. Politically, both parties are vying for that Christian vote. They just go about it in different ways. Over the years, Republican conservatism has seemed to be more of a magnet for the Christian vote, because it seems like liberalism, or what they call liberalism, I don't like the fact that they get to use that word, but what they call liberalism has went in a different direction that doesn't really back a lot of the tenets of Christianity as believed by the conservative right. So they've even taken the religious issue and made it a tribal issue inside of a smaller system inside of this country that still comes down to the root of it being political. Political tribalism drives what we do as a nation. Even in a time like this, it seems to be for the news because they're the leaders of this. When Hitler wanted to turn his people a certain way or change their mind about something, he used propaganda. Propaganda is kind of like a recipe. It's one part fear, one part comfort, one part relatability, one part disinformation, one part belief structure changes. It's a lot of different things being used over a longer process, small increments in a longer process to be able to initiate a reaction and a change in the thought process of people. That's how propaganda works. The United States has the greatest propaganda machines in the world, CNN, CNBC, Fox News. I mean, the kings of propaganda. So we take things as serious as an outbreak. An outbreak we can handle. You know, people's not looking at population the size of country compared to where we are and other smaller countries are. They're not looking at the fact that you can't trust numbers that come out of China. They're not looking at the median age of people in Italy. They're not looking at how well South Korea seemed to have done. So a lot of variables they're not looking at because they're not pointed in that direction. You know, if you train a dog to look down constantly, it'll probably get on the scent and find whatever you've got it looking for, but it'll miss everything else around it. We're making it. I mean, they're sending you in a direction, and you're finding what they're sending you after. You're just missing all the scenery along the way that paints a different story. And that's the important part, really. You know? I mean, that's the part you need to see. But amidst all this, we have tribalism. Our state's handling it better than yours, and that's true in certain circumstances. Tennessee's handling this horribly. You know, Kentucky is handling it well. Governor Beshear is handling it well. Governor Bevins probably would not have handled it as well. The point is, we have the ability to make these decisions on our own, to make these choices on our own, to develop belief structures and make informed, intelligent decisions based on the situation, to be fluid, to not be hemmed in, to not be boxed up, to not be forced into a mold, to not be stuck into one tribe. We can have one tribe, a united tribe, a global tribe. But understand there'll always be varying opinions, a difference in thought process. That's good. That's part of the process. And when those like minds get together, sometimes they're able to do more, because when like minds are together, thoughts are echoed and reinforced and beliefs and things of that nature, and you can grow and you can build. But to really make something great, any ideal, any belief structure, to make anything great, no matter what it is, you can't be in an echo chamber all the time. You have to allow in that opposing thought, that opposing belief. Especially scientifically, you need that opposing theory. Because what if your theory on the surface appears flawless, but when initiated never works? Possibly it's something in an opposing theory that you don't see, that you've never taken the time to give credence to, because it's not in your belief structure. So then you miss out on the ability of making a great discovery. I think all great discoveries are made that way, by looking at things from all sides. from not being forced into one tribal thought. Tribalism was important in early survival. It was. Mental evolution is a must. Environmental evolution, social evolution as a people, as a group, as a country, as anything, is very, very pertinent to growth. If we want to grow and get better and be better, then we have to build on those things. We have to give up childish and irresponsible devotions to belief structures and start being willing to see different points of view. And if that leads us back to the same belief and that belief is correct, that's fine. But we don't blindly follow. If you blindly follow, you're going to step on a lot of holes. But if you take the time to look around, you can see a lot of those pitfalls before they get to you. We as a collective, as American citizens, are far better than our leadership. The best among us are not leading. The best among us are thinking. The best among us are creating art. The best among us are making things. Our leaders are taking. We are not led by the best. It's possible to be led by the best, but we're not being led by the best. We've settled. We've settled for tribalism, and we've settled for the lesser of us to lead the majority of us instead of the greater. 3-4 different parties to choose from, voting against every incumbent that runs so that parties don't get allowed to get a foothold, insisting on term limits, insisting that certain issues are not political. Certain issues are either basic human rights or based on personal belief and have no place in politics. Those things allow us to kill tribalism. Those things allow us to be led by the best of us. It's food for thought. I'm wrong a lot. At least I'm wrong more often than not, I believe. But I don't know. Go back and watch the Tribalism one. Listen to this one. Leave me a message. Tell me what you think. Leave a comment on YouTube. The email's authorjperk at gmail.com. The YouTube page is jperk. I've given to you before. I don't know what they are. I am on various modes of social media, but not Facebook. Little lady had an issue with me, and that kind of took care of that. I'm not gonna entertain that because YouTube is just hard. Facebook's just hard to deal with. So I just put a frozen and let it go. But again, I like when people interact. The more you interact, the more of the mailbag ones I do, and I really like the mailbag ones. But thank you all very much for listening. As of today, like I said, it's Sunday, March the 20th here. I don't know what day of the purge we're in, but you can order some books online through Red Spotted Newt. That's R-E-A-D, Red Spotted Newt Hazard. Go on Facebook, look them up. Red, R-E-A-D, Red Spotted Newt. You can order my book online through them. It's the only place in Eastern Kentucky you can get it. So even if you don't live in Eastern Kentucky now, you can order it online and get it through them. They will mail out Roundabout Music in Whitesburg, Kentucky. Great record store and thing. I seen something saying they were still doing it. Your local restaurants and stuff, they're still doing curbside. If you have the ability or need to eat out, kind of do it with your local if you can, which you can't always do it. Remember how important healthcare workers are at this point in time. Yeah, doctors say dumb stuff, but they still are in a bad spot, and they're working really hard, and they're in a place that most of us wouldn't want to be in. Nurses, RNs, LPNs, every form of healthcare worker, from the person that changes the trash in a hospital room. Think about what they're going through. Think about the stress that's got to be in their life, how hard they're working, the situation they're in, the things they got to worry about bringing home to their families right now. We really got to appreciate these people. And if we want heroes, our heroes shouldn't be sports stars. Our heroes shouldn't be guys that make millions of dollars a year playing a child's game. That's not how this works. That's not us being the best of us. Our heroes should be the people that work to help us, the scientists, the research people, like I said, the healthcare workers. When they're shutting down things that are non-essential, my job's non-essential. We're still going, but I'm non-essential, and it's not a derogatory statement towards me or anybody else, but for all these years that people, and a lot of people have looked down on people who work in the food service industry and things of that nature. They're pretty essential right now. I have an autistic son who only eats French fries from Dairy Queen in Hyman. He only eats 3 real foods: IGA brand popcorn, French fries from Dairy Queen in Hyman, and he's eating some yogurt again now, and he drinks 1 type of water. So, the longer something like this went on, the harder this could be for him. But when Dairy Queen shut down, he's looking at a popcorn and yogurt diet. He's never eat fruit, never eat meat. He has an adversity, I forget what they call it now, sensory aversion, taste, things of that nature, and it's something we're working on. He's been to a lot of specialists and people to help him with it, but it's not an easy battle to win. And those ladies that are making those French fries and shoving them out that window in Hyman, they are essential to us. And we're seeing now that truck drivers and people staying out on the road and doing these jobs that not a lot of people want to do. These jobs that don't normally get glory. Being the second shift nurse at a small hospital, cleaning up a lot of stuff a lot of people don't want to clean up. Sometimes that don't get the glory it deserves. Thank those people. Those people matter. They're a part of the whole tribe, the larger tribe, not these little fractured things that we choose to emphasize so often. Remember your family and your elderly members of your family and how important they are and what it would be like if they weren't there. I worry about my Mama Minnie. I dropped some stuff off with her the other day, but I dropped it with a lady that stays with her because I'm still working. I'm still out amongst people, and I'm afraid to go around her, which I don't go around as much as I should anyway. Regret is oftentimes a lot of our life. But we said we're going to end these things with a quote, so let's get to quoting. When I talk about this, I guess a lot of it's about personal choice. A lot of it's about personal choice, and a lot of it's about who we want to be as people. So I'm going to read you this from Jordan Peterson. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not who someone else is today. You can fix who you are. You can fix who you were. Yesterday's there. You can review it. You can't review the future. Look at who you were. Try to work that towards who you want to be. Don't die on me.